In the words of Anchorman, that escalated quick.
Boy, that escalated quickly. I mean, that really got out of hand fast.
Welcome to CK4RC.
Welcome back to the channel. I'm Ron Burgundy.
You stay classy, San Diego. I'm Ron Burgundy.
Or I'm Chaz. This is CK4RC. This is a whole mess of nanos. I really need, instead of a micro crawler addict shirt, I really need a nano crawler addict shirt. Huh? Yeah, that's what I need. Anyway, pick this thing up at onlyrcs.com. It's got a great logo on the back. Use my discount code, get cool stuff, save money. I've got all kinds of links down in the description. Use those things. Some of them are affiliate links. I get a kickback, so that's pretty sweet. Also, doesn't cost you anything, supports the channel, and you get great stuff. So, whatever. There's my commercial. Let's get to the business. Now, as you can see, I've got a whole slew of nano crawlers over here, and they're all really good. So I've got a couple Jabilas over here with the Jeep, and I've got the Bigfoot down here. I've got the LDA-RC X43. It's a 43rd scale crawler that I featured on the channel before. I've got a gray Ascent 32 and a blue Ascent 32, and then I've got a gray SCX30 and two blue SCX30. And why? Why do I need all this stuff? Well, I got plans. You guys know how I do. I got plans. So I got some build bags here, and they're all labeled. The only thing I don't have a build bag for is the X43. There's not really a hop-up market for the X43. So LDA-RC, maybe? I don't know, maybe look into that. Anyway, I've got some stuff for the Jabila. Oh my gosh, I've got brass wheels, so get that center of gravity down. And then I've got some metal suspension links. Look how tiny those suspension links are. Oh my goodness. So that's not gonna be fun. And then I've got my Ascent 32. I got the brass knuckles that I did not get before, and I got the brass skid plate. I'm still not sure I'm going to use that. But then I also have, you guys already know I'm a sucker for tracks and engineered layers. Is that what it is? Engineered layers. Designed some tracks for the Ascent 32. So I got those. And I got some bed caps just to kind of personalize the Ascent 32s as well. And then I took the tracks off my first SCX30. I've got them in here. They're gonna go back on something, but then I got a lot of other parts. I got brass knuckles. I got stuff from Injora, and then I also just had a shipment delivered today from Mofo with a new chassis. So my plan was I want to keep one stock. I want to throw tracks on one, and I'm going to turn one into a comp style crawler. And then with the Ascent 32s, I'm going to keep one stock, and then I'm going to keep one. I'm going to put tracks on one. I'm not going to do any kind of comp setup with the Ascent 32. I'm just going to take too much work with, not interested in all that. And then with the Jabilas, there's no way I can comp those things or anything. But I'm just going to see how much better I can make them. They're already really good and a lot of fun, but I want to see how much better I can make them. So as I was ordering stuff for the SCX30, just more parts keep coming out. The aftermarket support is really catching fire for the SCX30. And so what I have decided is, why strip down a stock SCX30 just to basically build it from scratch? Why not just build one from scratch? So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to build a comp style SCX30 from the ground up, and then I'll just have an extra SCX30. I'll probably do something with it at some point. I've got a couple ideas. We'll see what happens. But anyway, that is the plan. That's what I got going on in the old noodle up here in my noggin, you know? So without further ado, let me get to work, and I'll show you guys a little bit going along. I've already showed you how to put the tracks on the SCX30, but I have not shown you how to put the tracks on the Ascent 32, so I'll probably show you how to do that. We'll do some four-corner scale comparisons, befores and afters, and stock versus modded and everything else. And then the comp setup for the SCX30, that's going to have to come in a different video. That's just going to be way too much for today, for right here, right now. But that's what I'm going to do. And then we'll run them, of course, because what good is an RC if you're not driving it? You know what I mean? So let's get to it. Well, let's get to work then. So obviously I've got the gray Ascent 32 out on the bench, and I already see something that I can tell you I'm not going to like. It was the same way with my blue Ascent 32. It appears to be the same way everywhere. So here's my question for you guys, because I honestly don't know the answer. With Red Cat leaving these things plugged in from the factory for shipping and everything, does it not matter because it's a one cell? Does it not drain and damage the cell since it's only one? I don't know. I don't understand why they ship them with these plugged in that way. It seems harmful for the battery to me, just from what I know about lipos, which, to be fair, isn't a ton, but whatever. So, all right, well, now that we got that out of the way, my first question for you all, I need you to drop a comment down below. You know where the comments go. Why can't I get this body back on here? What am I doing wrong? And now I got it stuck. Goodness gracious. Things are not going right. Just get back in there. All right, whatever. Fine. Okay, so should I go with a white bed cap? That looks nice with the white stickers. That looks pretty good. Or should I go with the black, which will also match? Where do these go? This way. Will also match the tracks. So what do you think? We got the black with the tracks, or we got the white with the tracks? So drop me a comment, leave it down below, let me know, what do you think looks better on the truck? I know I have my opinion, but my opinion is usually wrong. So let me know what you think, because I want to hear that. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take these wheels off and I'm going to start slapping on these tracks. And I don't know if there are certain ways they need to go. It looks like there probably are. I'm going to say that these go to the front, and that's probably for the C-hub to get down in there, is my guess. And then these are probably for the rear. So I do think that they're not necessarily directional, because they do look uniform like this, but they are front and rear as far as where they mount on the truck. So I'm going to go ahead and take these off. I'll take a closer look at these, and then I'll come back and we'll see how easy it is. Well, I've got 2 of these done, and I'm about to wrap up the other 2. And these have been really simple to do. The hardest part has been getting my nut driver down on the nut to actually loosen it. It is a 4.0, so it's a common size. But for whatever reason, my driver just doesn't want to squish down far enough to grab hold. So I don't know, but these tracks are so easy. They just kind of lock into place on the wheel hex, and then slide the wheel nut right back down in there and mount it just like you would any kind of old, well, any kind of new wheel replacement. As always, you don't need to, really lock it on there. You don't want to over tighten, but I mean, you can see things just slip right in place just like that. Real simple. Now I will finish up the other front. If I can get this one off. And again, this is the hardest part about these, is just getting that wheel hex, or that wheel nut. All right, there we go. And then as far as the front ones go, so I was right. The C-hub, the steering knuckle, the C-hub, it does go right down in here. Oh, it does go right down here in this little break with a piece. And then you want how it kind of angles up on one side. That goes towards the middle of the truck whenever you lock it in place. Just like that. Get it locked in. Yep, that is right where it needs to be. And then just tighten it up just like that. Wham bam. Thank you, engineered layers. And then we get this back in place. Oh, lock it in. And there is the Ascent 32 with the tracks. And now I'll give you a real clean look so you can give me your final votes. What do you think? We've got the white cap, whatever you want to call it. And then we've got the black one. What do you think? Man, they both look good in their own way. I do like that the black cap matches the tracks, but I do like that the white one matches the stickers. I don't know. Let me know what you think. Drop the comments down below. I've got some snow falling outside, so I'm going to get out there and get this thing snowy. There we go. Now, as you can tell, I did decide to go with the black bed cap. And yeah, I could swap it out for the white one. This isn't permanent. All I have to do is just take out the screws, swap it out. But I think I'm going with the black. I just like that so much better. So this one, done. Good to go. These tracks from Layered Engineers are so good and so smooth. And they help so much. Actually, they help the top speed because these things, they just suck so much power out of the motor. But with the Ascent 32 being so fast out of the box, it actually works really well. But I was counting on that speed for the tracks. So it is a little counterintuitive in that regard. But this one is done and good to go. I am going to do just a little bit more with my first Ascent 32, the one that I've made several upgrades to. And I am going to swap out the drive shafts and go with the metal Injora ones. And I do have the Injora brass knuckles I'm going to swap out as well. I do have the brass skid plate as well, but I really just don't think that a brass skid plate is needed or even a good mod outright. So I'm not going to do that, but I am going to swap out the drive shafts and the steering knuckles. And then this one will also be about done. I'll probably do something with the wheels and tires at some point, but for right now, that's what I've got, and that's what I'm going with. As far as the Ascent 32, I haven't decided what I'm going to do. If I'm going to upgrade this one or leave it stock. I know I'm going to do a ground up build at some point. Haven't decided on this, but I do have this one done and ready to go. So that's pretty cool. So the color coordination was not necessarily on purpose, but it did kind of play out that way. Whatever, there's that. And then of course, I got the blue ones that have the wheels on them. So there it is. Now I am going to swap over to the Jabilas, to the Jeep and the truck. I'm going to test both of them on the 4 corner scales. I'm going to test both of them on the setup table, and then I'm going to upgrade them, and I'm going to do the same tests for those and see how much of a difference those upgrades make. So let's check these stock stats real quick. Okay, first things first, I'm going to say all the words inside my head. No, first things first, I'm going to start off with the Jeep, get that on the 4 corner scale there. That is, oh, that's awful. Well, left to right is perfect. We're looking at 50-50. That's good. But the 38-62, you want that flip-flopped. So that is just awful weight distribution. So I'm going to see what I can do with this. My plan is to take off this back tire, get some brass wheels on here. I'm going to upgrade the plastic links with the metal ones. I might see, once I have this body off here, I might see if there's a little bit of shaving I can do to cut some weight from up top right here, because if you look, this tire, not only is it all the way back, which is exactly where you don't want it to be, but it's also way up. If you can see, like in that wheel well, it's sitting freaking like above the chassis. So not only above the axle, above the chassis. So it's in like the worst place possible. The only place worse it could be is if they mounted it like right up here at the very top, but whatever. So that's off. I'm going to take that off and then make a few changes and see what that does. So next up, let's check out the distribution on the monster truck here. So we got that 48-52 side to side weight distribution, and we've got the 52-48, it looks like, front to rear. So it's way better than the Jeep, but still not where you want it to be. However, I'm not sure there's a whole lot I can do with this one. It does have a better center of gravity as far as the height goes, because it does not have the extended roof up top. It doesn't have the rear tire on the back and way up high. And it does have bigger wheels and tires on the bottom. So it definitely is going to have a better center of gravity, but I'm going to see what I can do. Swap out these wheels with some brass ones and upgrade these links with metal ones as well. I think they're metal as well. And so we'll see. It's not going to do anything front to rear bias, but it will help keep it planted a little bit more. So, but you can clearly see why the pickup truck is such a better performer out of the two. Now, next thing, we will get both of these on the setup table and check their incline and side hill, and then I will get to work on making the mods. All right, I'm going to see, for the sake of time, if I can do both of these at the same time. I want to make sure that they are not touching each other. That way there's no interference from truck to truck. In case one of them starts to go, I don't want it knocking the other one off. So let's check out the side hill. Gotta get down here and get a better angle so I can actually see what angle I'm looking at. We're at 30, 35, 40, 45. Okay, so that was right around 48 to 49 for the Jeep. The truck is at 50. Coming up on 55. Starting to wiggle a little bit, I can see it. 58 for the truck, so almost 10-degree side hill difference between these two in stock form. That is really impressive. Okay, I'll get these lined up here. See if we can check this incline. All right, we are at 35. That's what I was afraid of. They're gonna... All right, what if I can do just one at a time? Will that work? They want to roll on me. It's not working real good. Okay, there we go. 40, 45, 50, 55. We're at 60. The front's starting to wobble a little bit. 64. Wow, 64 on the incline. That's pretty good. Okay, now let's get this guy locked in. Okay, there we go. Might have difficulty here because that rear tire, oh my. It's not, there's no torque twist. I mean, it's not even under power. But that front tire is just coming right off. Okay, so 45, 50. Yeah, that front tire just rolls right off. That front right does. 53, 54, 55, 56 degrees, and it rolls right back. 56. So you can really see a significant difference between the two. And the truck is just so much more planted and grounded. So there's that. Now let me get to work on these things and see what I can do with them. Oh my gosh, you guys, these little buggers have given me every bit of the hardest time you can imagine. But I have learned some things along the way. So first of all, the pickup truck, I've got the metal lower suspension arms on here, suspension links. The upper suspension links I did not do, so I'm not even sure if you can see this or not, but they screw in on the inside of the chassis, and then they screw into the top of the axle, which, if I really wanted to, yeah, it would be a pain. The rear ones would be doable. I mean, they're all doable, but the front ones, they're on top of the axle underneath the servo. So you got to take all of it apart. And honestly, this thing was not the most relaxing thing to work on. So I got the lower suspension links on, and I'm calling it a day right there. I'm done with that. Maybe someday when I forget how frustrating this thing was to work on, I'll come back and I'll put on the uppers, because I do like the look of the metal ones. I think that this is going to look really nice. But honestly, it just wasn't worth my time and frustration. So that's where the truck stands right now. You can see it doesn't have any wheels and tires on there. There's a reason for that. So I do have these brass wheels to replace the stock wheels. And what I realized when I was taking off the stock wheels, I thought these were plastic. They're not. These are actually metal. They're not brass, but they're metal. So what I expected to gain weight-wise with the brass wheels, I'm actually not gaining as big of a difference because the stock wheels were already metal, which makes sense. I mean, that helps keep this thing planted. So that makes a lot of sense to me. But I do want to check the difference in the wheels. For the 4 stock wheels, we're looking at 25.8 grams. It's not bad for those tiny little things, 25.8. And then the brass wheels are going to give us 33.3. So we're looking like what? Like 8 more, approximately 4 to 7.5 gram difference, somewhere around there. So that's not a ton, but for a truck this size that fits in the palm of your hand like that, I think it's going to be significant. Now, the other thing about these wheels, I do like the stock silver, especially with the new metal links, but I think these are going to look pretty cool. I think just because it's going to look different. So I think that I'm going to be okay with the black and brass. I actually wanted all black, but they were sold out. So I got these because that's what was available. I think I'm going to be okay with that. So I'm going to get these tires mounted up. I'll get the wheels put back on this thing. And we'll go from there. But before I do that, I want to give you just a quick update on this guy. This guy has given me all the problems, every bit of it, and he's just in pieces. I mean, this thing, I wasn't even trying to do all this. And it doesn't even have the wheels off. It doesn't have the lower links on. It was, this thing was a nightmare. So, first things first, the parts came with this nice little 0.035 inch hex driver, which, cool, I appreciate that. Don't use the tools that they send you. It is not quality. I mean, this thing is so flexible. You can't get enough leverage and torque without stripping out these tiny hexes in here. So don't use what they send you. Luckily, I was able to find in my precision screwdrivers, I had a bit that worked very well. And so just use better tools. And this isn't anything special. I got this, I think this is like a Walmart like special kit. Nothing fancy, but way better than what they send you. So just use better tools. That's the takeaway there. And then lastly, I did order these Injora tools for the SCX30 and this 3.0 hex driver, nut driver. Should be, I think it's right at the right size for these wheel nuts, because I actually used this on the monster truck and it worked okay. But I can't get, the barrel is too thick to get down in the recess there to get a hold of the nut. So I can't get those loosened up. I tried to use my needle nose pliers. They're too big. I can't get a hold of these, so I can't get the wheels off, which means I can't get access to get the lower links swapped out. So they're stuck there. I can't do that, so I'm going to have to figure something out. I've got one other tool set I think I can check. I think I can hopefully maybe make something work. But honestly, I've given up on this one at this point because I've just gotten too annoyed with it. So I'm going to move on and just leave this one where it is for now. I did manage to get the rear spare tire off here, so I know that's going to help with the front rear bias quite a bit. And again, these things also, this one has metal wheels as well. I also have brass wheels to replace them if I'm ever able to get the stock ones off. But just having a spare metal wheel on the back of a truck this small, it looks cool scale-wise, but man, it really hurts the performance significantly. The other thing I want to do is I want to chop up some of this excess plastic that it really just doesn't need, because this is just adding more weight up high. So get it in here. I could chop out this entire roof section because it's covered by the actual roof. So I won't be losing anything except for weight by cutting that out. I might even cut out the passenger and the driver's side windows, just to kind of have it like a rolled down window look, and also cut some of the weight out of there, and then maybe some of the weight down here in the side panels, maybe a little bit off the hood possibly. I'm going to keep the fender arches. I like the wheel well, the fender arches, fender flares, whatever you want to call them. And then this little running board down here. I think that it does give a nice little look overall to the truck. So I'm going to keep some of that stuff, but I can lighten a decent amount of weight just from drilling some of this plastic out of here. So I'm going to do that at some point, but like I said, I'm in no rush to do any of this stuff because I'm kind of at a standstill as is, especially if my last tool set that might work, if that doesn't work, then I'm really going to be done with this thing just completely. So that's where that stands. I'm not even going to do another 4-corner scale or another setup table because it's making such a minor difference weight-wise, and it's even weight, all 4 corners. So I'm not really changing the bias any, so it's not going to change much. So I do think it'll perform a little bit better. It will help keep it a little bit more planted, but I don't think it's going to be anything massive that is really going to be worth showing off video-wise. So let me get the wheels and tires on this thing. Let me get my SCX 30s, my Ascent 32s, and everything set back up so we can take a look at the Nano fleet, and then we'll wrap up the video. There's my Nano crawler roundup. What do you think? Which one of these Nano crawlers has caught your attention? Because right now, they are hot. They are all the rage. They are a big craze. I don't know what I'm saying right now. But anyway, we've got the what are they? 143rd, 136 Jabilas. 136 Jabilas. Jabilas. I'll get corrected. But look at that though. With the wheels, I got the wheels and tires mounted on there though. So it does give a different look to that truck, and I do like it. I had a feeling I would, and I do. Looks good. So one of these things is not like the other. You see it? Sticks out like a sore banana back there. I don't have a banana for scale, so that's a bummer. But we've got the 136 scale Jabilas, which are really good. We've got the SCX 30s from Axial. These things are incredible. They're even more fun with tracks because everything is cooler with tracks. And then you've got the Ascent 32 from Red Cat. These things are quick, a little too quick, but you can use them for different things. You can kind of use it like a tiny little indoor basher, or you can also put tracks on these and just turn it into an even bigger monster and run it out in the snow. Unfortunately, when I was getting the footage, I didn't have a lot of snow. Right now, there's a ton of snow, but it's really soft, powdery stuff, and this thing won't drive through it. So I didn't have enough, and then I got too much, but it's the wrong kind. Things just, listen, that's my life. You know, that's my life, but whatever. If you made it this far in the video, drop a comment down below. Let me know which Nanos do you have, or if you don't have any, which ones are you most interested in? And if you're not interested in any of them, why not? They're so much fun. So anyway, drop that comment down below. Hit the quadfecta for me before you go with the like and the subscribe and the comment and the share and then hype. Turned into Professor Frink from The Simpsons there for a second. Anyway, hit up my partners, Only RCs. Speaking of the Nanos and partners, Crawler Tracks right back here, they are about to drop their Nano line. They've got build videos that are up. The obstacles are designed. They are working on the manufacturer to get the pre-sales fulfilled. But those things look like they are going to be an absolute blast. We've got TRC Garage that I featured in a different video actually, I think it was the original Ascent 32 video. I'll see if I can drop a link to that, maybe like up here somewhere. But yeah, so The TRC Garage with their 3D printed crawler course, the Crawler Tracks Nano Tracks line looks next level. So check that stuff out. I've got a discount code for Crawler Tracks. So check out my partners, save money, get cool stuff, keep doing RC stuff, and I'll see you next time. Big time thank you to my members and channel partners, and if you would like to join the ranks, click on that join button for exclusive content, never before seen videos, early access to videos, and other exclusive content, pictures, polls, and having an active voice in what comes next on the channel. So appreciate the support, click on that join button, and thank you so much to the channel members.